Shayla, welcome to the Scenic podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited because when I got to know you and read about you, I'm like, okay, this lady's life bio, whatever, like biopic, it could be called a scenic route.
Yeah.
There's almost nothing you haven't done yet, and there's still so much to left to do.
Yes.
So, Shayla, what does scenic route mean for you? What was the pivotal moments looking back so far?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I feel like the scenic route to me at this point in life reminds me of there's a scripture in the Bible is verses around like talents and gifts
Mm,
and utilizing all of your talents and gifts. It's a parable in the book of Matthew, right? And the
I
scenic route
wouldn't
to
know, to
me
be honest, but if you tell me so, I believe you.
yes, yes, so it is. And so what the scenic route means to me is like it really has been a journey of me exploring all of my talents and gifts and putting them all to use and using everything inside of me. I feel like
Oh.
my brief time in corporate, I was like, oh my God, I'm miserable. And I also realized that like I am so much more than this. Like, yes, I can answer a phone and yes, I can handle some claims and I can do some inspections, but none of that is really using any of the gifts and talents that I have. I'm such a creative. I love the camera, which I discovered as an adult building brands. I love being on camera and I love putting on a face. I love helping people with their marketing. I love drinking wine and helping people grow their palate, right? And so my journey has kind of been it's been the ebbs and flows of like using my gifts to serve other people.
Oh, I love this approach of really leading with your gifts and talents first, and then kind of like weave that into the scenic route and see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
What you said, like you see yourself as a very creative person. Was
Mm-hmm.
there another? What was the another like maybe surprising gift or talent you discovered along the way? And what
Mm-hmm.
was something you were absolutely shit at doing that did not work out at all?
Oh, that's a really good question. Um, so surprisingly, I when I was first started building Black Girls Wine, I decided about a year into it to start going live. And
Mhm.
I went live every week on Wednesdays at 8:30 for 4 years. And so
Wow.
a lot of people discovered me that way. And I was nervous as crap. When I first started, I did not, I'm telling you, it was my mom and my husband and my dad and my sister on my very first live. And so now when I meet people or I see people in the street or I'm like talking to somebody in the wine industry and they're like, oh my God, I loved your show. And I was like, wow, you watched it? I didn't think I was going to be great at. I didn't know what to expect. I hated public speaking in college when I took it. I
Hmm.
was so uninterested in it. And so it has actually made me a much better speaker. I have a lot more confidence, even if I don't necessarily know where a topic or conversation or like if it's a panel interview, like even though you never know how those things turn out, I feel more confident because of my 4 years in front of the camera of me just kind of trying it
Mm.
out. Something that I was really shitty at was running a product-based business and a subscription
Oh.
box, not
Oh,
product-based.
okay. Yeah,
I have
subscription.
dreams of running a product-based business, but the subscription box, I hate going to the post office. Trying to wrangle all of this stuff in a box. And the crazy thing is like the box did well. It was growing and I was like, I don't do this anymore. So I shut it down. I was
But I mean, like kudos to you for shutting something down because it didn't feel aligned anymore.
it
I
was
mean,
it was hard. Like I found myself every single month at the last second, like at the post office, packing boxes and tissues everywhere and trying to tape them and then carry these all of these boxes. And I'm like, I know there's an easier way to do it, but I don't even have capacity to figure it out. Like I just don't care.
yeah.
I'm gonna do
Yeah,
it.
that's the thing, right? Once you kind of like realize, okay, this shit ain't for me. It doesn't even
No.
matter. Like you probably could have hired three people to help you easily, but then I don't know what. Then suddenly you have three employees of a business you don't like, and you're responsible for them too. And it's just like more honest this way if you feel like, nah, I gotta pull the plug.
Yeah. I had to. And I think it was really good practice because eventually I ended up having to pull the plug on Black Girls Wine Society. And that business, was that membership. It was wildly successful, but motherhood called and I couldn't anymore. And it was made me sad to shut it down. That I did grieve having to sunset that business, but it was nothing that I could do. I was 9 months into postpartum and it was rough. So I think it
Yeah.
was the preparation I needed to be able to make that decision really confidently. I feel
Mm.
like I still don't know what the ultimate destination looks like, or even if there is an ultimate destination, maybe it will always be life is about enjoying the route because it is
Yes.
scenic, and
Yes.
that wherever destiny takes you is where it takes you, but you got to enjoy the ride.
Yes. If you've been here for a couple of episodes, this you heard me preaching this over and over again. So I'm really happy Shayla is telling you this too. Listen, if you're hating on the journey, that whatever destination you'll reach most likely will suck balls too. Like
Mm.
it's just not, life is so short, and if we're having a like if you have to push ourselves and having a really hard time just to get one step after the other, like why bother?
It's hard, and I know like some seasons are just hard. I will
Oh
say that
God,
I do
yes.
understand. I do understand if somebody is like, "Oh my God, I just."
100%.
It took me a while post baby wrestling with the fact that I was a mom and
Mm-hmm.
not knowing what would come, what would become of, I don't want to say me, but just like what that looked like what is juggling
What
business
does Shayla
and
as a with a baby looks like? Mom
yeah, like
Shayla.
how does mom Shayla do everything that non-mom Shayla was doing, but only more?
Mm-hmm.
Like how does that happen? And I did I struggled after I had my son trying to like find my way. I was falling in love with this little human, but hating the fact that I was no longer me.
Oh,
And
I can so relate. Yes. You're speaking out of my heart for sure.
it was hard. It was hard. So
Oh
I
God.
feel like
Yeah. I mean, my
anybody who's listening, I get it.
I mean, my kid is 5 now. I don't know how old is your son or you, 2?
He is two. He's
Oh,
amazing. And he's so like
oh,
he's growing so fast. And
yes.
I don't know. It took me probably almost a year to get to the point that I was like, okay, I have to just like accept that this is my life now. And I
Mm-hmm.
have to figure out like how this works. And then I just have to change the way that I work and I have to change the way that I show up. But this
Mm-hmm.
amazing little human is here and I gotta appreciate it. But it was hard at first. And I'm so glad to hear you say like you get it because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of moms have a hard time saying that.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? We often hear touch on subjects that, I don't know, the conventional way would be to look the other way. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I feel there's so much shame
Mm.
involved in how we see ourselves to be mothers, how our
Ooh.
partners, how our family, how society sees us as mothers,
Mm-hmm.
kettle, whatever. And the more like we don't talk about it, the more it stays in
Mm-hmm.
the shadows, the easier it is for
Yes.
shame to fester and grow. And we can't do with shame. Like we just got to be done with this. Like it's not helping us.
Yeah, that's one thing that I look after years of therapy. I have that's something that I'm like I'm not feeling ashamed for anything that I feel. I'm a human being and I'm entitled to feel what I feel. Like, and so
Yes.
I had to find my like tribe after having a baby because I was like I need people who can keep it real with me. Like this is not always easy, and I'm not very brief backstory. My husband and I have been together for over a decade. We never planned to have children. My son was a surprise. He was a surprise miracle. They told me it wouldn't happen. And so when we got pregnant, it was like, what? What's happening?
What is this stick
And so
telling me?
he's like, this can't be right. And sure enough, my doctor was like, oh no, girl, all the cysts are gone. It's nothing but a baby in there. And I was like,
Excuse me, can you run the test again, please?
like, you lying, girl. This is never real. And so I one thing that's really important to me, like in telling my story, is being really honest about it because I want any mother to know, like, it's okay. I didn't get into this necessarily wanting it, and now I absolutely love it, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. And but at first I was like, shit, I did not. This ain't what I signed up for.
Oh my God. I'm like, are we like living parallel lives? I don't know. It is very spooky. Same. We have been like me and my partner, we've been together for years. Um, and I mean, I had my son at 35.
Hmm.
Um, and until the age of 34, I was like, I'm never gonna have kids. Like, this is not like I don't know. And then suddenly the conversations were like, we will have a great life whether we have kids or not. It will just be different
Hmm.
too. And then like, maybe we just see what happens if we try, because I mean you don't know how long trying is gonna last you anyway, right?
Hmm.
And then I don't know, it was like the second cycle, and I'm like, if I do my math correct, I think I'm late. So I'm like, okay, sure, okay, so it seems like we're gonna do this thing. um and I was kind of like the last one in my circle to have a baby. The others like were
Mm.
already on like baby two or had or stopped with baby one. Um, so I got some of the horror stories. No, I mean there are horror stories. I mean there's
They
no other way.
are.
There's
They
blood and
are.
gore and like there's no other way to tell it. It's a horror story. Um, and and like and I'm thankful for that because
Hmm.
I it kind of in my mind I was kind of like preparing myself for battle.
Yeah.
Like in a way, you know, like I knew this time will be like challenging, but
Hmm.
boy, I did not know shit.
Listen, I having kids is a whirlwind. And one of the things that was hard for me to get used to was the fact that everything is unpredictable. I've accepted it now. It's a part of my life and I'm okay with it.
Yes,
Um,
but we need other
but
structures if our life is unpredictable.
when I say, because it could be, oh, you're sick because you went to daycare. And now the 4 calls I have scheduled for today have to be moved because life is very unpredictable.
Yes.
And so that was scary to me. I will say some of the horror stories I heard, I didn't end up having horror stories of my own, and I'm very grateful for that. Because I have friends who have some horror stories, and I was already like, the video they show you in the classes when you're pregnant, refuse to watch the video. I refused. I'm not taking that in. I don't want it. I refuse. Because
Yeah.
she was like, getting to the birthing part. No, thank you.
Yeah, don't Google
So,
placenta or like
mm-mm,
diameters or like
I refused. She started showing the video, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go and fix myself some food now. I'm done.
fair enough. Yes, fair enough. I mean denial is a wonderful thing.
Listen, and I'm so glad because I had a great experience. My son was born to Beyonce playing in the
Oh.
OR
Oh.
room. So, mhm.
Oh, okay. That is nice.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Yeah. Well, we kind of like had to kind of like go from let's see what's gonna happen to oh, you're probably in a preeclampsia state, so we probably should get this baby out. Oh, okay.
Oh
It
my
was all
God.
the fun. It was all the fun. But I'm like I'm curious how it was for you or how it is for you.
Hmm.
Um, we already said it's a whirlwind. It might be a horror
Hmm.
story. It's a lot of fun. It's challenging.
Yes.
It's all the things and more. And that's, I don't know, part of why I love it because some of the
Hmm.
unpredictability is like, yes, I'm living off this. But I don't know, I wasn't prepared how much of my own shit would come up. And especially in relations to with my parents, look, or how I've been
Mm.
raised, and like how I am now in a position where I almost have to reparent myself too while I
Hmm.
parent a little kid, and it's wild.
It is very
How what was the
wild.
major like things that were stirred for you with the birth of your
Um,
kid?
like, so everything that you explained, I experienced as well. I knew that I wanted to parent my son differently.
Oh, you're one
I
of the circle
wanted to.
breakers.
Yes, I
Yes, we're the
am.
circle
I am.
breakers. Yes,
Because
go
I
Shayla.
was
Yes.
like, it was really important to me to raise a son who is not just emotionally aware, but emotionally intelligent, who
Mm,
knows how to articulate himself and what he's feeling. He understands that he has options. Anger is
mm-hmm.
one emotion. It does not cover frustration, disappointment, sadness,
Resentment. Yeah.
and or resentment. Like there's so many other words. And if you learn how to communicate effectively, people can understand that and understand where you are and you can move forward. I wanted, it's really important to me that my son is emotionally regulated, that he isn't a man who overreacts or goes to anger because he's experiencing something else and doesn't know how
And
to express it.
yes.
And
Mm,
I wanted to be a safe space for him, that whatever he was feeling, he could come to me. And I'm not going to shut him down. I'm not going to discount his experience because it's not like mine. I read something that said, like, it is prideful as a parent if you compare how you were raised in your journey to your
yeah.
child because you have no way of knowing what they're experiencing because things are constantly changing.
Mm-hmm.
And that resonated really deeply with me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
This is
I
also what I'm
knew
accusing my mom of doing.
the same, the exact same, exact same. And it has been interesting because the generation that raised us didn't have as much access to, I guess, what the internet has made available, all of the information and the lessons and the quick things that you can learn and intake and shift so fast. And so, since my husband and I both we never talked about kids or perspectives because we weren't going to have any. That was something that we talked about a lot when I was pregnant. And we have talked about a lot post pregnancy, reparenting ourselves, and it's made our marriage much better. In reparenting ourselves, we have gotten much better about, hey, this is kind of what I'm feeling. It has absolutely nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
I am frustrated. And so if you see me upset, don't think that it's about you. This is what's actually happening.
Hmm.
Or, hey, I see that you seem frustrated or you seem like really down. What's up? Right.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
being able to articulate that a lot better with each other. Um, it's been a game changer. But for me, building up my son's emotional intelligence so that he does not fall into the stupidity of the patriarchy is very important to me. So
Oh God, yes. Yeah. All of this, including the relationship part. It's, I mean, having a kid, I mean, it's no, I mean, it's probably hard on any relationship, I think, because
hmm
you have more needs to take care of. And it's a very
it's been
neat son of a
challenging.
gun you got there at the beginning with this constant crying and milk and nappies and whatnot.
Child.
So,
That
I
baby
mean,
phase was not fun. I know some people think it's cute, but that was my least favorite part. I am really enjoying two, and I know I'm gonna enjoy three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10 because it is no longer that baby phase.
yeah, it's I mean, I feel that the baby phase was very interesting because it was physically so draining,
It
but
was.
I was so bored at the
Yeah.
same time. Like I was like, I need
I'm so
mental
glad you said that.
stimuli. I'm like,
Yes.
and I do like I don't know, a crossword or something. I'm like, please tell me someone what's going on in the world. Like
Yes.
I felt like all my brain was kind of like rotting away. And now it's like now he started kindergarten last year, and I feel like I have so much capacity back because
hmm
like, oh, okay, we're getting into like rhythm as much as that's possible anyway. But
hmm
now, and this is a cool phase, but it's also challenging in other ways. We're in the getting up, like, I don't know, having the mom, when will I die questions at 6 o'clock in the morning. And you're like,
I'm not ready.
I'm like, okay, okay, let's like rewind. And like all these like deep shit questions at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, okay, sure, yes, let's talk about death and dying, sure, like here for it. uh, or then or yeah, or just suddenly started about like how if the, like if the kids lose their toys when there's a war, and you're like all these things. I'm like, you
Wow.
don't. Yeah, I'm like, you don't. It's yeah, honey. Well, most likely, yeah, they do, but it's like, I mean, I would try to like give him age appropriate, like not telling him something like, oh, there is no war or there is no patriot, like,
Yeah.
but kind of like make it age appropriate. But then again, oh man, how I do like explain age appropriately the war in Ukraine or like the genocide in
I was
Palestine,
going to
and I'm
say,
like,
you
what?
got to send some notes over because I have no idea how you explain
Like,
that.
oh god, I'm swimming in the deep here. Like I have no idea what I'm doing. But yeah, it's really interesting. And what a major one also for me was how relationship change and like
hmm
the relationship with myself
Yes.
and all the others too. Like there were people who I thought they're in my life forever
Mm,
and they're poof.
yeah.
And there are people who were like, oh, they're nice. Like whenever we see each other, we have a good time. And they really stepped up
hmm
their game and I didn't expect
Yeah.
it. What was your
Yeah.
experience with relationships?
Very similar to yours. Some of my friends that I, I feel like I have a quite a even balanced circle at times. But as I've gotten older, I'm friends with a lot of single moms. And some of my friends I really expected to be there for me completely disappeared and they weren't. And then some of my friends really, like you said, stepped it up. I will say at one point I did feel abandoned by some of my close friends because I feel like when they had children, I was there.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I made sure to come and see them. I made sure to make sure I could come and help. And whatever it was. And some of my close friends, I think, just didn't know how to be there because some of them didn't have any kids. And so it's been interesting navigating friendships post motherhood because
Mm-hmm.
it really is like this is a major life change. And
Mm-hmm.
and people either have to get with it or I'll see you in 20 years, I guess. Like when he goes to college and he's, out on his own, then maybe we'll be friends again. I don't know. But it's like in this season, it's about him and it's about my husband. And when I have the time, I am more than ready to hold space and capacity for my friends and to
Mm-hmm.
be there for them. And that's something that I really enjoy. I do deeply value friendship because I recognize that, our parents won't always be here. They are family. And so I try my hardest to be there. But some people just fell by the wayside. And I also have found, and I don't know if you've had this too, but I also have found that like post motherhood, my give a F meter is also very, very low. Like if you can't rally and understand that I have to bring my kid to dinner or we
Yeah.
just gotta go another time, then maybe we can just call this another time. And if another time is 20 years from now, then so be it. Because I'm not
Yeah.
gonna do this dance with you. I have
Oh
my
God,
kid
yes.
every evening and every weekend. I
Yes.
don't know what to tell you.
Yes.
Like
I feel it's become that has played out the most ruthlessly, if that's even proper English, in my business. Like
mm,
I and it has paid off because so far I've never had any difficult clients who
praise
couldn't
God.
understand why I had to
Mm,
push a call, whether that had
mm,
been for health reasons or because kid related something. Um,
mm-hmm,
yeah, if you don't, oh, I only had that once. I was invited to come on a podcast,
mm-hmm,
and interestingly enough, this person who invited me was a dude. Like, or not, or not.
mm.
We're not going there for now. Anyway, so we had because of the time difference, US and Europe, it was already kind of tricky to find a meeting. And
Mhm,
then we found a spot and I told him, yeah, that's okay. I can do Sunday evening. Um, it's not usually a time I do any kind of work related things, but sure. Okay, let's if that's the only thing that we can swing, sure.
right.
And then the day my kid got a fever spike, and I was like,
Mm-hmm,
okay, like I can't do it. Like, he's like, mommy, and I'm like, okay, no,
mm-hmm,
priorities. Um, and I wrote him like I think 2 hours before, like, look, this is either super last minute or like maybe he'll be fine in 2 hours but I just want to like be respectful of your time as I possibly can. Um,
mm-hmm.
like we have to reschedule, and he was
Right.
like, I understand. This is your decision. I wish you the best in life. Then he blocked me. And I'm like, well, I mean, fair play to your boundaries, sir. Love it. But I'm like, okay, sure. That's
These
one way
things,
of
I
playing.
feel like these things don't happen to me because God in the universe know. I will, I will snap, sir, because, and he can't possibly have children
I
because
know
I feel
that's
like
what's
it's
wondering too.
impossible to
Or he
have
has like
kids
someone who is just really like mothering his kids and him.
and
And
he's not
just
involved. It's got to be that because there's no way that you can have children and not develop a level of grace
yeah.
for people because you cannot control infants and babies and toddlers
Well, nothing
and
in life
children. You can't
generally.
control, right? Really nothing.
Who are you?
Kids are just the wow factor that come along with it. Like you cannot control, you know what I'm saying? Like stuff that happens. I
Yeah,
so yeah, he must not have had any kids.
I know. But it was like back to my business. It was really nice to being
Hmm.
very strict with my boundaries. And in turn, having the clients who are like, yeah, sure, I get it. Let's reschedule for like whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
I love that.
and it's so important because otherwise, I don't know. I would have loaded in my little tiny suitcase even more. Ooh, that brings me to a good topic.
Oh,
Mom guilt.
mm.
Mm.
I feel like
How you're dealing with mom guilt, Shayla?
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I don't. So my mom guilt is around feeling bad when I need a break and I'm over it. That's when I have mom guilt
Mm.
because then I feel bad that I
For
want
your
to take a
own
break.
needs?
Yep. And that's when
Mm.
I'm like, oh, and my husband is very good about no, go downstairs, do your nails, go downstairs, or, go somewhere on Saturday, go to brunch, take yourself to brunch. Like he's really good about encouraging me to take breaks and take stuff away. And I feel bad for wanting them. But between him and my best friend, who's a single mom, my best friend is like, if you don't get out of there, your husband told you to get out, you need to get out and go. And she'll be like, and stay away all day. And I'm like,
Change your cell phone number.
listen, she is like so serious about it. And
I
I'm
love
always like,
her. Why do you think
well,
that is, though? That you feel bad for your own needs?
um, it's probably a little residual for my own mom,
Mm,
probably. And feeling
mm,
like I have to be there and that I have to be the one that's present and does all the things when in
mm.
all actuality I don't have to. I
Maternal
have a
image of how you, what has been modeled to you.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Mm,
And I think
yeah.
that's probably a big part of it. It's something that I'm working through.
Well, I mean, we're always working through some shit. I mean,
We are. We are.
uh, shall we do like a couple of motherhood unplugged ones?
Oh yeah, I'm
I
down.
have. Do you want to start off easier, or do you want to go right in the deep end?
Go right in.
Okay. Oh yes. What do you feel are some like topics related to motherhood you feel are still like taboo or not really discussed as openly as they should?
Mm. I feel like it's not talked about enough actually how hard the first year is.
Mm.
I feel like there's a lot of and I can't think of the psychological like the term they use in psychology, but it's like a lot of like over like making it sound like it's, oh, you'll be okay. Oh, everyone goes through it. No, this shit is
Gaslighting, it's
hard.
called gaslighting.
Gaslighting, yes. There's a lot of gaslighting around the first year, and maybe it's not everybody's experience. I don't know, but mine was trash. Okay. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like it. It was not fun. It was really hard. And it really has nothing to do with it. For me, it didn't have anything to do with my son himself. It was me navigating this new person, this new life. Like,
Mm.
so much is different. Like, we're not even talking about the physical part of it, like just life in general and adjusting and adapting. And I've been an entrepreneur for years now. So it's like figuring out the direction business is going to go and everything. Like, it was a lot all at once,
Hmm.
and it was trash. And I feel like not enough people talk about that. And especially, I can only imagine how challenging it has to be for people who go back to work working for somebody else. That's got to be hard.
Yeah.
And I feel like we there needs to be more space held for women. Like, I know in other countries they get a year off. You need a year off.
Oh
Like,
God, yes. I mean,
I,
I got, oh no, not well. We get 3 months off, which is better than nothing. But I mean, 3 months is just you recovering to a level where you like barely functional again. Like, I mean, not
I
re
would say three
recovering,
months.
recovering, but
I was still like, more time is needed. I feel like that's one of those things that needs to be talked about. And I think it is absolutely not. I feel like I don't hear anybody talking about it or offering any advice for the
yeah,
couples. Like, your relationship post baby, it is so different. My
yeah,
husband and I were that couple that went on dates every other weekend, every single month.
yeah.
I could probably count on one hand how many dates we've had the last 2 years
Mm.
because it's just different. Like,
Yeah.
where we gonna put him? Who gonna watch him? You know?
So
So
boys and
it's a
girls, take it from your wise friends here. A
listen.
baby will not fix your relationship.
At all, at all. If anything, it makes it way more challenging. And if you don't go into parenthood like consciously, like, okay, I'm gonna probably have to reparent myself in some areas.
Yeah,
Oh
I'm
my
gonna fuck
gosh, I
shit
can.
up. Like we're gonna
Yep,
hate each other's guts at least a couple of times a day, but we'll
at
make
least.
up at the end.
Yep, exactly. And it definitely, and the sex part, I feel like it's not talked about enough.
Ooh,
Sex is very
agreed.
different for the woman post baby. Like, even sometimes the mental load of running a family can impact your sex life, and that's not talked about
All of
enough
it.
either. Yeah, it's not enough conversation about, like, okay, now I feel weird because I breastfed for 18 months. You kind of can't touch
Same.
me.
24.
Mm-hmm. Like, so it was a
Did
little.
you know my midwife told me this, and I was like
Mm-hmm,
that like they say you're fully recovered from putting a child into this world,
mm-hmm,
like fully recovered in the sense of your hormones are back to the way they were before,
mm-hmm,
roughly 12 to 18 months after you stopped breastfeeding.
mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
mean,
And there's a
what?
guy, I don't know his name. He's not American, but he has a huge following. I found him when I was pregnant, and he said that a woman's body takes like years to recover after baby. Like,
Yeah,
for everything to regulate and get back to a new normal, it takes years.
if
But
ever.
I've heard that.
I
Yeah,
mean,
if
my feet
ever.
are a size bigger now. I don't think they'll shrink again.
Right? Like, so much stuff changes. And I had heard that it takes a while, and it is after you start breastfeeding. So, like, mm, it hasn't even been a year for me. Now that we talk about it, it hasn't even been a year. Like,
Yeah.
stuff is still regulating, and it's a new normal that your body has to figure out. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel another taboo topic is, I mean, we're slowly talking about things like mental load, at least over here.
Hmm.
Very slowly. But
Hmm.
just the whole like somatic experience of it.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Hmm.
Like how traumatic it is for the body, And like
Mm-hmm.
how giving birth is probably one of the most like intense experiences or like dangerous experiences you can have.
Yeah.
And like just all the, I don't know, the blood and the guts and everything. Like I'm like, I don't know, maybe I should have watched that video in high
Look,
school.
I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch it. I feel
But
like
I'm like,
I do
yeah,
think
it's
it
not a
needs to be talked
sanitary
about
thing,
more.
but and I
Mm-hmm.
mean, oh, you know what I would have wished that
What?
someone would have told me.
What?
Should we go there? Yes, we should.
Go, go.
Dad, well, I mean, I had a C-section, so that might be different. But anyway, if you have a
Me too.
C-section,
I had
okay,
one too.
yeah. So if you have a C-section, make sure that before they wheel you in, you get one good last dump. Before it's the first time you have
Mm.
to take a number two after is shit. It's bad. It's really bad.
I don't even remember.
Ah, no, I remember
Look,
because I lost a lot of blood. Because some things didn't rip as they were supposed to, whatever.
mm-hmm,
And so I had to take iron. And I'm like,
mm-hmm,
listen, people, I know how this iron thing works. If I have to do tablets, then I'll be constipated until the end of time. Oh, but
mm-hmm.
your levels are not like low enough for an IV. I'm like, don't I have no capacity to argue now. Okay, sure. I was so constipated that
Mm.
first dump was harder than actual fucking childbirth. Like, I kid you not. I wish someone would have told me
I'm
this.
trying to remember.
It was so bad. And then I talked
I
to
don't
other people.
remember.
They all had like similar experiences. So I felt like this should be on a manual somewhere for C-sections. So,
I feel like so I remember during pregnancy. So when I was
mm-hmm,
pregnant, my
mm-hmm.
a good friend of mine was pregnant, and my husband's sister and first cousin were pregnant. We were all pregnant at the same time. And they all,
Wow.
speaking of horror stories, had their babies literally within a 2 week time span before I had my C-section. And all of them went in for vaginal births and ended up having C-sections. So I was like, excuse me, I'd like
Yeah,
to schedule a C-section.
yeah,
We're not
yeah,
going to do that. We're not waiting.
yeah.
So
Same.
I ended up scheduling it. But what I remember during pregnancy is like I actually was TMI more regular than I was beforehand. So I don't remember afterwards. Afterwards, I feel like I was too busy like drowning in breastfeeding and figuring out
Also, a lot of things get
everything.
blurry.
Yeah, I wish I had written. I have
Mm.
it on my list of things to do now to start a journal for my son. I want to start writing for him. Um, and I wish I had started earlier because there are some things that are just blurry. Like it was hazy. The not sleeping, the not like
Yeah.
I feel like we're just getting into his molars are coming in. So some of the nights, the last couple of weeks have been a little rough.
Oh, don't. Yeah,
But
I remember
for the
those.
most part, listen, it's been rough. But for the most part, he's like sleeping through the night now. And so it's been like it's much better. My sleep is off, and I don't know if it's permanent, but at least he is sleeping through the night.
That's
And so
good.
that's been different.
I mean, we have like a family bed co-sleeping kind of situation. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and like I'm wide awake when he just makes as little as
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's something biological. Like I cannot turn this off. I'm awake. Yes. What do you need? Water bottle. Like I got you covered. And partner over there is like,
I'm the same. I kicked now. That was one thing I didn't want to do because I was like, I don't want him in the bed. So we kicked him out. We co-slept for a long time, and then probably he hit about 9 months. We were like, all right, you gotta go in your room. So
how
he's in
did
his
you
room, but
manage
I have
that? We
the
failed. Like, or we did with that. Just we tried.
because girl, I love my man. I needed my man next to me.
This is
That
very
little man.
true. This is very true.
And what I kept
I need
telling
my man
myself
everywhere
was,
else, but just the bed during night is tricky.
what I told myself was, one day, this little boy is gonna come up to me and go, "Mom, I love her and I want to marry her." And at that point, is my marriage reflective of what he's gonna want, or will I have sacrificed my marriage to have this baby in bed with me? And
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? No, he gotta go.
Mm.
He gotta go. So, but I am very quick to be like, he's coughing. He has to sleep in here with us tonight.
It's right. It's always these. I like every year. I'm in like a co-working network group. We all work
Hmm.
remote, but once a year we get together and like hang out and be social for a couple of days. And so last
I
week,
love
I
that.
know it's our non-work work trip. Um,
Mm.
we don't talk shop. So last week we went to Ireland.
Hmm.
Um, and it's like it's bliss. I can eat all of my food in the pace I want. I can go to the bathroom when I want, all by myself.
For me, it's I can take my time and do my makeup without
Oh,
any interruptions.
oh, that's nice too. Yeah, yeah.
I had
Or
my
I can do my
first
nails, or I can do my hair, or whatever it is that makes you happy uninterruptedly.
uninterrupted. I had my first brand trip since I had a baby literally this past weekend. And it was amazing. It was amazing. Like, yes, the sleep was great, but in confession, I still had his little monitor on. You know, I still have the app on my phone, so I still had it on miles away. But I at least was able to like take my time and get ready. I'm the
Mm-hmm.
primary parent because of when my husband has to go to work. So literally every morning, I don't look like this. I look insane in the mornings because I'm trying to get him ready so I can get him to daycare. I look crazy. And so it was nice to be able to have the weekend to like, oh, I'm gonna do my makeup every day and
Yeah, and
my hair's done and things
this
are
is so
together.
true. And yet, you already mentioned it. We're living in this weird parallel thing where we're like, oh, freedom, independence. But I miss his teeny tiny warm cuddly feet.
Yes,
Right? Is you really have to break the black and white thing. It's all of this at the same time, and it's
it is.
so
And it's every
much.
day. It's every day. It is. I feel like every day I take him to school and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad he's at school. And usually by the end of the day, I'm like, I can't wait to see my little bun.
Do you do you have any like I'd say they're not weird per
Hmm.
se, but
Hmm.
no fear is weird. All fears are legit. But
Hmm.
I I sometimes some weird fears creep up on me. Like,
Hmm.
oh, I don't know. Like, for example, when he was little, he was like tucked away safely in his stroller.
Hmm.
And we were walking over a bridge, and I'm like, what if a gush of wind comes now and
Yeah,
blows the stroller over the bridge, Bannister? What am I gonna do now? And then I'm like, can't
I
say
have those.
what? This is like mom brain on steroids. Like this is not gonna happen. What is
I
the weirdest
definitely
fear you've
had
ever had?
those. There's a oh my God, there's a term for it. My I can't think of what the word is, but I definitely catastrophizing. I definitely catastrophize. And it's even worse now that I'm a mom.
Mm.
And I've never thought about my own death so much, which is probably very morbid and weird, but I thought about it a lot because
It
it
can
makes
also
every
help to make
day.
you prepared.
It is very,
I mean, we're
it's
practical
definitely
here.
okay. Listen, I'm like, I gotta make sure he has everything he needs in case something happens to me. And so, like, yes, you always say thank you when someone gives something to you. And when a woman is walking by, you need to open the door for her. You need to be kind to people. If you offend someone, it's okay to say sorry, even if you don't understand, right? Like, it's all of these like important life lessons
Okay, what can I squeeze out of my brain? And
that I'm like, you need right now, every day. Um, so I feel like that's probably the weirdest things that I have thought about it. I try not to think about it much. We recently lost a classmate and she has
oh,
a
sorry
10
to
year
hear.
old and things it was sudden and it was really and so last week I thought about it a lot because I
Mm,
was just like and it was a car accident. Like it's something that could happen to anyone. It wasn't anything crazy. It was a car
mm.
accident. So it's just like it just makes you think about how much you've done, how much you've poured into this little person. But then also, I don't want to leave them. That's a big part of it. I don't want to leave them, and never loved a little person so much.
No, I know there's a little, and then our love for them is so big. Oh.
Hmm. It really is.
Mm. I'm. Oh, okay. We're gonna end with one interesting one because
Hmm.
I have some stories. And I'm sure you have some too. Have you
Yeah.
ever experienced mom shaming? Have you ever been
Uh,
shamed for the way you parent your kid, or apparently parent your kid by some random stranger you've met or something?
I haven't by a stranger, and I would advise no one ever do that.
Very solid
Because
advice. Yes.
look, I don't have the capacity, and I will probably snap
Yes.
on you.
Yeah.
I
I
feel
have
like
my
the
tolerance for bullshit
one
is very low these days.
very, very low.
Mm.
I feel like I have felt mom shamed by relatives at times because I am choosing to parent differently.
Mm.
And the choices that I make may not necessarily be what was done when I was a child. So I have felt mom shame.
Well, I mean,
And
house prices are not the same, egg prices are not the same since then, so why should we parent the same? Just saying.
exactly. And that's literally always my point. Like everything is literally different. It's
Yeah.
20 times the
We
cost
know
of what
so
it
much
was
more
to
about
live.
childhood development and trauma and brain
Yes,
development, and like why should we keep on doing shit that didn't
so
clearly
much
didn't work
more.
because we are all in therapy?
when I say, and me and my friends talk about that all the time, like clearly it didn't work because all of the millennials are in therapy. So stop
Yeah,
judging us for the way
I
we're
know.
choosing to parent.
Oh no. Then comes the killer argument. Well, we suffered through, we like lived through this through and it didn't hurt us. We're still here kicking.
And it's like that's if that's what you base your parenting off of, then I
Yeah,
am
if that's your
sorry to inform
baseline,
you, but
if
that is not
barely
good.
surviving is like your baseline, sure.
Listen, it's been and so I had to work through my feelings on that a lot. Um, and I'm saying my most recent therapist was amazing though. I one thing I will do that one thing I've learned was like learning how to just be okay with my feelings. And if you are bold and bad enough to question something I'm doing with my child or with my husband, then be bold and bad enough to receive my response because I'm going to respond. I'm not holding it in. I'm not having most women, like so many women die of heart attacks. I'm not dying of a heart attack. I'm not holding in stress because I'm upset because you offended me or you hurt my feelings or you, no, if you're bad enough to comment on what I'm doing, be bad enough to hear back my response. That's really bad.
That reminds me of one
What?
of my pregnancy stories.
Oh,
Yeah, it was I don't know 2 or 3 weeks before I gave birth, and it was like super hot. It was like end of June. It was super hot
ooh,
and sweaty. It was gross,
God
and I was
bless
on
you.
the bus. We do buses here in Europe,
Mm,
and I was on a bus, and then there was this elderly lady. I don't know,
hmm.
early 70s or something like that, and she came up to me and was like, I know, you're already like, oh God, girl, don't tell me more. Anyway, she came up to me and she's like, oh, pregnancy is such a miracle. And then while she said that, she put her hands on my belly. And
I really,
I lost it. I'm like, excuse me, I'm not fucking public property. And I touched her boobs. I was like, is this
I
feeling
love you.
comfortable?
I
Me
love
touching
you.
your boobs? See how this feels? Is it great? Or like, I don't know, is this the kind of PDA you like? I snapped. I snapped in the entire bus. I went like ballistic.
No, that's so
I
good. I would
couldn't,
have
like, I was
been.
just like, it was hot. I wanted to go home. I was thirsty. I was hungry. I was so not regulated. And then the audacity. Like, no,
That
no,
would have made my day.
did
It would
not
have made
sign
my
up for
day.
this. Did not sign up for this.
That would have made my
Since
day.
when?
I don't understand the world's obsession with commenting on pregnant women's bodies. I really don't
I
understand.
mean, women's bodies in
And
general.
women's body, I was gonna
Before,
say women's
after,
bodies
during,
in
like,
general. Because even when people are like, "Oh my God, you lost so much weight," and blah blah blah, I'm like, okay, I was diabetic. I didn't have a choice. So it's not like I'm just this mom that's like, "Oh my God, yeah, I'm super." Like I'm trying to not end up on insulin. So this is not normal though. So don't think that this is. It's okay. And I tell people that all the time, like regardless of what happens after baby, worry about your mental health first. You can get to the physical body, right? Like it's the
mm,
constant commenting and comparing women like, oh, she bounced back. Oh,
mm-hmm.
she's so skinny. Oh, she gained a lot of weight. And I'm just like, why? And the touching, you handled that perfectly because
Like,
I don't like to be touched when I'm not pregnant. So I can't imagine what I would have done if somebody had done
I
that to
know
me.
it's I know somehow you become public property, and all the people tell you their pregnancy stories, whether you want to hear them or not, and you're
I didn't
like,
like that.
and
I
you hear
hate that was
stories
one of
of
my
like how
least
they
favorite
lost
parts.
their babies, and like, I'm super super sad this happened to you, but
Hmm.
this is no, I do not want to hear about your miscarriage like a week before I'm scheduled to give birth. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I don't know,
I'm
it's
not
so weird.
a and I'm wondering and I don't know why people do that either. I'm very much like, oh, you're pregnant, congratulations. That's it. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, if they want to share more, I'm happy to listen.
They want to ask questions, fine. But
Yes, no
all I'm saying
unsolicited
is,
advice, no unsolicited
nope.
stories.
I'm not giving unsolicited advice or unsolicited stories because you may not want to hear it. Your experience might not be mine. Like a lot of people, I never share my birth story because so many people have horror stories, and my birth story was great. So like I keep it to myself because it's just like I didn't like that when I was pregnant. Like people imposing their
Mm-hmm.
experiences on me. And so I try to be very thoughtful. Even with moms, I'm like other moms with their newborns, with their whatever. I'm like, if you have questions, you can come ask me. Otherwise, I'm gonna stay over here because I don't every child is different and what works for
Yes.
one won't work for another, right? Like so it's just like I wish the world would learn to mind their business, but I don't think social media is really helping that. So
Yeah, probably not. And I mean, oh God, yeah. Mm. Unsolicited, oh God, the amount of unsolicited advice I got when one time I shared a picture of how of baby wearing.
mhm.
I'm like, sure. Thank you all random strangers of the internet for the concern of the posture of my newborn. I
Child.
guess.
I don't share any pictures of my son.
Yeah,
So now
no,
that
no
he's
faces
older,
or something. No,
mm-mm. Now that
nope.
he's older, occasionally I'll have like you'll see the back of his head,
Exactly.
but
Back
that's
of the
it.
head or a hand or a feet or a foot or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or like him, but like his face has like a smiley sticker on it or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
children are not your content.
Yep. When I
They
say
have their right
bigot.
to their own picture, and if they cannot consent, you just don't.
Exactly. That's exactly why I didn't. I was like, you know what? He is his own person. He's his own
Yeah.
autonomy. And that was something that I learned. I had to learn and reparent myself on because
Mm-hmm.
it's up to him if he wants to participate in social media. It is up to him if he wants to. And even my husband laughs and jokes about it, but like I give him choices for a lot of things. Partially because I want him to be very independent, but also because I want him to know that it's okay for him to be who he is. He does not have to be who mommy wants him to be, who daddy wants him to be. You be who you are. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. So that is how I parent. Very like everybody has their own autonomy. So
Which
and
is
I
yes,
didn't
yes, like 100%. Like we also do that at doctor's visits. Like we explain him, look,
mm-hmm,
like you gotta like you get the vaccines now. Um,
mm-hmm,
and he was always a good sport. Um, but we always talk to the doctor and just kind of like, well, and we have a very good pediatrician who
mm-hmm,
she always asks like, "Okay, I'm gonna do this now. Is this okay?"
mm-hmm.
Um, and if not, we would have gone back another time because
Yeah.
like I mean there he knows that there's certain things where we have to kind of like overrule him like when it comes to health decisions because he cannot make them himself, but
Mm-hmm,
he chooses what he wears, he chooses the length of his hair, and he knows
mm-hmm.
now that he has blonde long locks that he gets mistaken for a girl all the time, which is something he has to live with. And
Yep.
then he's like, I'm not a girl, I'm a boy. Fair enough. um That
He
reminds
is
me of
so
one of
cute.
the mom shockers. Or like she
Uh-huh.
probably was a grandma. I don't know. Don't want to judge. And anyway, we were in the playground. He was like maybe 2.5 at a time. Or
Mm-hmm,
yeah, 2.5. And these blonde locks, like angel locks, like super curly, like little pigtails.
mm-hmm.
And then she's like, oh, this lovely young girl. And then with the blonde locks. Um, and I had another one of my snap moments. I was like, well, his name is Finn, and he is a boy until he tells us otherwise. And she's like, quietly removing herself from the scene. And I'm like, bye bye. Good riddance. Those are my
Listen,
little pockets of joy where I'm like, yeah,
it can be hard to tell at times, but it's always a good idea to ask.
just ask if you're not sure. I mean, if you're not sure
Yeah.
if someone, before you assume somebody's gender or sexuality, religion, just ask. Like, what's the big deal? Ask what are
Yeah.
your preferred pronouns? Like, I don't know. But anyway, that's a component nothing for another time. Oh, I just thought of one last question. No, actually, second last
Yes.
was the same. Second last.
Uh-huh.
What's the most useful shit you bought for your baby?
Oh, that's a good question.
I mean, we're not giving unsolicited advice. You're still here, so this is solicited.
Hmm.
What's the dumbest shit you
The
bought? The most
most
useless shit.
useful.
Most useless. I don't care about useful. I care about the most useless.
Oh,
I have
useless.
yes, useless. Oh, I mean, you can also share me the most
Probably.
useful, but the useless is always because it's always more interesting because you buy some crap that you think you're gonna need because I don't know you scrolled TikTok at 3 o'clock in the morning and then you bought something on Amazon and you're like, nah,
I
not
we
say this
we were
happened to
very
me, but
blessed in that we did not have to buy a lot of stuff. But some things that we did not use was probably we ended up with a whole bunch of bath stuff.
mm,
A lot of like random stuff that I recently packed it all up completely unopened and sent it off to the Goodwill. So we had a lot. We had two bathtubs. We had a lot of extra stuff though. Um, the baby washcloths. I hate them. We use them on his face now, but they're like small and they don't suds and they're weird. My mom made a ton of washcloths for him and we love those because they're normal size and they suds really well. So I really like
yeah,
the one she gave us. We did not use, and we had a lot. I probably had at least 50 washcloths, baby washcloths.
wow, yeah.
And I'm like, what? Are people actually using these? We didn't use them.
I know
Um,
we had them too, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know, as a babe over your shoulder if they burn.
yeah, like we didn't use them like that. Probably the most useful thing. which my family, it grows my family out, but it was very helpful, was that nose sucker thing
Oh
that you could.
yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that thing.
Oh my
I love
God.
helping my
It's
baby
so weirdly
breathe.
a fantastic. It's so
And
gross
my husband
fantastic.
was like, I know, right? And my husband was like, I'm not doing that.
I'm like, wait. No, we were actually kind of fighting about it because we're also both like, oh, there's a pimple. Can we like push it? So we're both like, but it was your turn last time. I was like,
Listen,
yeah, it was.
I was very excited to do it every time. I'm like, oh, I get to clear your nose out. I'm happy to help.
Yeah,
And
I mean, how much stuff does fit in those tiny noses? It's amazing.
child, I'm like, where is this coming from? You're
I
not that
know.
big.
I know. Like, is your whole belly filled with like snot? I have no idea.
Basically,
it's one of the big mysteries of life. Like, I have no idea.
it really is.
Oh my God, I could talk to you about motherhood unplugged for a long, long time, Shayla.
I could
Before,
too. This was
before I
great.
let you before I let you go,
Hmm.
let us know where can people find you if people be like, oh, I want to see the all the other sides of Shayla, not just the mom side. Where can people find you?
Yes. Well, I'm on social media at Shayla Varnado or at Black Girls Wine. If you're a wine lover, come follow my journey.
Perfect. I'm such a wine snob. Like I just drink. I have friends who are very good with wine, so I'm always
Mhm.
trusting their opinion. And it's usually
Yeah.
if it's a Portuguese wine, I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever, that's fine. And one last question before I let you off the hook. It's the question I always
Hmm.
ask. What book are you currently reading or what audiobook are you currently listening to?
Body training.
Or what movie episode are you currently on?
Listen, I'm like, I am currently reading Proven Five Steps Potty Training in One Weekend. That's
I
what's
mean,
on my audiobook.
that's very important.
I am
Listen.
trying to master potty training. But other than that, scale or fail.
Oh,
Scale or fail.
okay. I have I
Taking the digital marketing agency to the next level, working with new clients, exciting clients, and want to scale the business. So scale or fail.
that sounds good. We're gonna list those on the show notes and in a Scenic group
Yeah.
library. So if you're ever short on reading what to read next, or you have to potty train a toddler, you know where you
There
find all
you
the
go.
literature to do it. Sheila, it has been a blast. Thank you so much for joining me on the Scenic route.
Yes, thank you for having me, Jennifer. This was a lot of fun.